TCU is getting some love in the AP polls. We'll see what happens if they get love in the college football polls come Tuesday. But TCU does get the number 4 spot in the most recent AP polls that came out on Sunday. Georgia leads the pack at number 1, Ohio State, Michigan 2-3 with TCU in the 4 spot. I think that's what it's gonna look like in the college football polls as well. The most interesting thing to me about this AP poll, though, is Georgia received 62 of the 63 first place votes. That is the most unanimous first place voting we have seen all season, with the only extra vote going to Ohio State. I mean, you look at this, I mean, they did it right finally, Steve, in my mind. They gave the undefeated teams left the top 4 spots. I can get down with that. Now, we have 2 Big Ten teams in the middle of the pack. Some might think that TCU belongs to be up in the 2 spot instead, especially since Ohio State and Michigan struggled at the beginning of their games. They did find a way to win the game. I am not mad at this top 4 spot here. Before we dig deep into the rest of them, how do you feel about the top 4 of the AP poll?
Well, I would have TCU too.
Yeah,
I would. I mean, it's just as simple as that. I would have TCU too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, when we say things like that, I can understand why fan bases sometimes get upset and leave less than flattering comments questioning our parentage when we say things like this about teams like Ohio State or Michigan. It's not a knock. They're great football teams. But I think when you're looking at, and I don't look at it analytically, I look at it like who could put on the best performance in a championship in the championship final. And for me, it's now what Georgia has shown with their defense, Georgia and TCU. Ohio State and Michigan, there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of fluctuation. I mean, I would say that they're better than Brian Kelly's Notre Dame teams that were always ranked pretty high, then got blown out in championship games. But I think Ohio State and Michigan are more prone to get blown out or lose by multiple touchdowns than TCU would be in a situation. So for me, it would be TCU too.
We see multiple teams in this week's AP Top 25 with 3 losses. Texas at 18, Notre Dame at 20. We see Kansas State at 23 and Florida State at 25. What is missing from that picture, Steve, is a Coastal Carolina team with only 1 loss. That is an issue in my mind with the AP voters. Yes, I understand that they are a group of 5 team, and the loss they have is to a team that is at the bottom of the Sun Belt Conference right now. But it should go without saying, if you are a 1-loss team, thankfully we got Liberty finally in the rankings. I think Liberty finally got what they deserved. They go from unranked all the way to 19 after beating Arkansas, which was well-deserved, might I add. Mm-hmm. But there shouldn't be a 3-loss team ahead of a 1-loss team, no matter what division. If they are an FBS team, they should be in that top 25 over a 3-loss team, in my mind.
Oh, no. We've been beating that drum all year. And then conversely, we all had our wonders about Clemson. Mm-hmm. How can Clemson drop to number 12? Okay. I understand it was a bad loss. Okay. You cannot tell me that Clemson, with 1 loss in 1 week, is now suddenly a worse team than USC or UCLA.
You know why it is? And this is my thought process. Remember last week we had the conversation that the team that struggled the worst on their bye week was Clemson, because now all their wins don't look as good because Syracuse is on a downfall. Wake Forest is on a downfall. And then they're lost to Notre Dame here. And Notre Dame has had their upsets, losing to Stanford, losing to Marshall. I think that's where it comes in. Not that I agree or disagree with it. I think that they should probably still be in the top 10 in my mind. Now you get Alabama as a 2-loss team ahead of them. Now obviously they have, and same with LSU, 2-loss team. Obviously those losses are to teams that are in the top 5 or even top 5. But when you have a 1-loss team that is still in charge of their entire conference, I'm not surprised, or I'm a little shocked that they're not at least in the mix with the other Pac-12 foes. They dropped them below 3 of the Pac-12 foes. Yeah, that's interesting. But I would say that it probably definitely revolves around that their strength of schedule, which we have screamed about strength of schedule a lot this season. Mm-hmm. So there is probably some justice in this conversation. But That's probably where it comes from. Because Syracuse's schedule or their team does not look as good as they once was, but lost 3 straight. We just saw what happened to Wake Forest 2 weeks in a row. Notre Dame has had their issues. Now they look pretty good. That's why they're back in the rankings. I think that's hurt Clemson more than anyone.
Yeah, I just don't think their analysis is applied consistency. So that's I would be shocked if Clemson is that low.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you
in
think
the college
Clemson,
football playoff. I would be really shocked to see
Yeah,
that.
I agree with you.
I would be shocked to see USC and UCLA ahead of Alabama, Ole Miss, and Clemson in this discussion.
We have never
really would
had
be.
a 2-loss team in the college football playoff. Will that come into consideration when the college football rankings come out and we see those 1-loss teams like USC, UCLA, Ole Miss, and Clemson pop up in front of LSU? Maybe not Ole Miss because LSU beat Ole Miss, but those other Pac-12 foes, could we see them jump ahead of a team like LSU and Alabama because of that 1 loss? Probably not, right?
No, I really don't think so. Because again, if you're going to look at it analytically, I don't think that USC and UCLA are better football teams than was certainly. I think they have Oregon as the top ranked Pac-12 team. I think that's right.
Me too.
They're not a better team than Alabama. They're not a better team than Ole Miss. They're not a better team than Clemson. That doesn't make them bad teams. You're still in the top dozen, but I just don't. I don't see it. I get it because USC and UCLA are fun teams to watch,
Mm-hmm.
but there's lots of fun teams to watch. Coastal Carolina, for example, UT San Antonio, for example, Baylor. I mean, honestly, I was surprised that Baylor didn't get in the 25. If you're going to put UCF there, if you're going to move, Washington back in and Florida State, there were just so many decisions here in this AP. I didn't get a chance to listen to the podcast. They generally put out a podcast later in the evening on Sunday, and I didn't get to it before we got together with our meetings about different things. But I want to hear them try to explain this to me because I really don't understand. And quite honestly, I think Tulane should be ranked higher. I think Tulane's a better team than Penn State and North Carolina. I think Liberty should be ahead of North Carolina State and Texas. They've earned it. They've earned it. And again, Texas has 3 losses. I don't understand.
I'm with you. And the college football playoff rankings last week only had 1 team different. Liberty was not in the college football rankings. I would not be shocked if we saw multiple teams, up to 5, that are in the AP poll that are not in the college football rankings. I wouldn't be shocked whatsoever.